I truly don't know what to say when it comes to the UK and France. And the reason why is because you guys, I think it's understood that, you guys' social climate and your government are not the best. They're not the strongest right now, especially France, because y'all riot almost like every other weekend. But yet, for some strange reason, y'all keep pledging money and resources outside of your people, even though your people are highly upset with you guys. Help me understand that. What's going on YouTube? It's your host, Bruce GNT, and we're here to talk about the UK and France pledging more support to Ukraine. But in this case, it will be to aid Ukraine after everything is said and done when it comes to the peace talks and everything like that, and to help them with rebuilding. So let's jump right in.
President Zelensky has praised a set of security commitments made by Ukraine's allies. This was at a summit in Paris. It includes a declaration of intent by France and Britain to deploy troops in Ukraine if a peace deal is reached with Russia. Many details still to be worked out, and Russia has previously rejected some of what's being proposed. Here's our Ukraine correspondent, James Waterhouse.
As their name suggests, this mostly European coalition has always said it's willing to help Ukraine after the fighting stops, but never how. In Paris, though, there was the first bit of detail. A promise from the UK and France to send troops once a ceasefire is in place. We're told thousands as part of a reassurance force across land, sea and air.
This is a vital...
Why did Keir Starmer look so confused? That's one thing I noticed with him. He always seemed like he's there, but not really there. The strange thing. Very strange man.
part of our Ironcast commitment to stand with Ukraine for the long term.
This group of almost 30 nations also promised to help monitor the frozen front lines to make sure fighting doesn't break out. But the most influential people in the room weren't seasoned politicians, but Donald Trump's friend and real estate investor Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner, both now senior ambassadors. European confidence to help Ukraine with troops has been hampered with an American reluctance to step in if there was a direct confrontation with Russia, although not now, they claimed.
The president does not.
That's the part that's always like puzzled me, because I'll give my thoughts about how I feel about this a little bit after, right? What's going on over there is like several thousand miles away from us. Like there's a whole body of ocean right there. Why is it that we always take the form of Big Brother, with the big stick telling people what to do? Because how is it that us not basically saying, hey, look, we're going to jump across the pond and help you out is hampering what y'all got going on? Unless I'm misunderstanding something. If I am, cool, let me know. I don't really get that. That doesn't make any sense to me. They're literally, for the most part, neighbors with you guys in comparison to us. So I'm just kind of confused how us being reluctant because we got our own shit to deal with is messing up what y'all got going on. What? I don't know. Unless, and that's my thing. If it turns into all-out war, that's one thing. But when it comes to like the securing of Ukraine, everything like that, cool. Yeah, we don't mind helping. But it's like, why is it that if we're reluctant or just not, chomping at the bit, y'all like, no, we can't do it because y'all fucking it up.
Not back down from his commitments. He is strong for the country of Ukraine and for a peace deal.
Those words might have been more reassuring if Donald Trump hadn't staged an extraordinary military intervention in Venezuela and repeated his desires to take over Greenland, a Danish territory. This US delegation has also been accused of being more friendly to Russia than Ukraine. Before the meeting has even started, European leaders have put out this statement in support of Greenland after Donald Trump's repeated claims of wanting to annex the territory. So you have this scenario where the ambitions of NATO's most powerful member are making the rest of the alliance nervous.
I'll talk about that because I need to do a little bit more research when it comes to the whole like Greenland thing, because at first I really didn't pay no mind. I was just like, yeah, he says a lot of shit and I don't like process half of it until I see his continue to repeat it. I'm like, okay, he might be serious about this. Yeah, I'll look into that because I don't want to speak on it before I know all the information. It's crazy how, I'm not justifying, right, the fact that Trump went into Venezuela and didn't get Congress approval and everything like that. I'm not justifying that. But what I find funny is that people have a lot to say and it's like, okay, but you weren't doing anything about it though. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, How does what I do on my side of the planet, right, have anything to do with you? It's not like the U.S. jumped into Venezuela and got rid of a elected president and was like, yeah, well, this is ours now. That's not what happened. They're making it saying we just went in and took someone out that was like a good... No, he was a dictator? So I'm confused. Yet again, I'm not justifying the fact that he didn't go through the proper channels when it came to our government, but you know what I'm saying? I made a video talking about the whole Venezuela incident and like that, and how international law is kind of not real in the sense of it's only upheld by those who take part in it. This is a perfect example of that. No one can hold the other one accountable when it comes to international law because they just can't, unless you risk like some type of event happening to make someone to be accountable for the other person. Because not to say that we should just, any country should just go around doing whatever they want to do, but international law is one of those things of, if someone wants to ignore it, which a lot of countries do, that's really it. Nothing you could do about that.
Europe is trying to unite around Ukraine against Russian aggression, as well as attempting to take America with it. And we don't even know what Moscow will agree to. In these geopolitical times, this is a continent having to tread carefully. James Waterhouse, BBC News, Paris.
And earlier, my colleague spoke to our chief political correspondent, Henry Zeffman.
This is a UK Prime Minister committing to send troops to serve in another country. That is, one of the toughest duties that a Prime Minister sometimes confronts. It's potentially an open-ended commitment which extends far beyond however long Sir Keir Starmer will be Prime Minister of the UK. Of course, as you say, this is only a commitment in the scenario in which there is some sort of a peace deal, or ceasefire at least, between Russia and Ukraine. That is where people in government still concede it is tricky to know when and whether Vladimir Putin might give ground. But nevertheless, there is optimism in government that this is a significant milestone and, perhaps most importantly, is being seen by the US President, Donald Trump, and by his administration as a significant milestone which might lead them to put more pressure on Vladimir Putin to sign up to a ceasefire.
Thanks to Henry for that.
Yeah, I get that. It makes sense because it seems like what the EU is trying to do, because that's essentially, that coalition right there. They're pretty much saying, okay, hey, look, if we put a little bit more skin in the game and say, hey, look, we're going to make these moves in the event of this, maybe that'll push American President Donald Trump to make moves when it comes to securing a deal with Ukraine and Russia, especially since Russia seems to be the one that's kind of more reluctant in this case. You know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily mad about this, right? My thoughts on this is that part of me wants to say about damn time, because it doesn't make sense how you guys are basically neighbors with Ukraine, and in this case, Russia as well. And it seemed like you were kind of just lagging behind when it came to support. Not saying I fully supported this, because obviously I'm not supporting war and everything like that. But it just seemed like people were just kind of waiting, like, yeah, America, you go first, and then we'll follow you. Like, if you give money, we'll also give money. It's like, but we're like way the fuck over there, so make that make sense to me. Yeah, part of me wants to say that. The other part of me wants to say, committing your troops to another country is one of those things where it's like, it could go well, but at the same time, there's a chance it could go kind of poorly, and then it could lead to other issues in the future, i.e., let's just say Russia wants to do some fuck shit, and they say, I don't give a damn. Now you got to deal with France and the UK getting embroiled into something, and then now, because of that, obviously the US is going to be looked at as France, UK, and Ukraine, they're fighting over there. You're going to help them? It's going to turn into a situation like that. And that's just worst case scenario. But that's just how my mind works. I wonder how the French and the UK citizens feel about this, because you guys are not happy with your leaders. I mean, it seems like no one's happy with their leaders, to be completely honest with you. It's crazy. I don't know. Lots going on. But yeah, I'll keep my eye on this and see what's going on. And hopefully those peace deals go through, because this war needs to end. It just needs to end. It's ridiculous at this point. Well, you guys already know, Joe, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment down below, tell me your thoughts. How do you feel about them pretty much agreeing to plant their troops in Ukraine in the event that this ceasefire, goes through, these peace talks go through? Do you think it's a good idea, or do you think it's one that can lead to further issues in the future? Let me know in the comments down below. That's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.